and unfairly impact the outcome of legislation in Springfield. It's time for change. As a former prosecutor myself, I'm thankful to the jury for their service, and I'm pleased to see today's guilty verdicts. The time to start cleaning up Illinois government was many years ago. That work should begin in earnest now. We'll now be happy to take questions.
A reminder, if there are any questions, please text them to me at 630-849-0806. That's 630-849-0806. Give it a few seconds here to see if anyone has any questions, leaders, and then we'll wrap up.
Closed case. Not very many questions, Josh.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Right. All right. Well, if there are no questions, oh, I'm sorry. We do have one. Bear with me. Cole Hankey with WCIA. Can legislation fix this, or is it all culture?
I think that's a good question, and it's certainly what I think a lot of pundits of state government or former officials are contemplating right now. The answer has to be yes. I think all of us who serve as lawmakers need to ensure that the answer is yes, that something can change with the way government works in Illinois and the level of corruption that has eroded confidence in state government has to be addressed. And so I've said it several times, we're still operating under the Mike Madigan way in Illinois. Although he's been out of office for a few years, although he's been now found guilty on 10 counts, the structure of government that has been developed is the Mike Madigan structure. And so we have to hit the reset button entirely. We have to have new rules. We have to have term limits on the Speaker of the House, not just in the rule book, but in statute. We have to have ethics reforms that empower our legislative inspector general to do their job so that this culture of corruption that exists can be stamped out. But we can't continue doing things the same way Mike Madigan did and expect that we're going to see changes in our state government.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, Cole, too, because, I know I've said it before, certainly in the Blue Room several times, we can't legislate bad behavior. But I'm a big fan, as you're aware, and many in our caucus, of penalty enhancements. And quite honestly, the Democrat caucus is pretty much a big fan of penalty enhancements as well when it's convenient for them. They've already passed more than, I think, 93 themselves during my time. Not the ones that will actually make good positive change, but we're government officials and we should be leading by example. So let's actually put some teeth behind those that would punish us, and we could start with our own, for sure. Go ahead, Josh.
Thank you, Leader. A question, George Wiebe from the Sun-Times. Has there been any discussion in the House before or during the Speaker's trial about ethics reform, and what would those reforms look like?
Well, I serve on the Ethics and Elections Committee as a Republican spokesperson, and I've had conversations with the Chairman West about what we can expect this session. We have not met yet, and I don't believe any of the House committees have met, and we're eager to get to work. One of the things we're going to suggest from the Republican side is that we take a serious look at ethics reforms, as we've outlined here in this press conference. Last session, we did not see ethics legislation come forward from that committee. We had some elections legislation, but no ethics legislation. And I would hope today's verdict would show to the majority party that we are in urgent need of ethics reform. As I outlined, prior governors being convicted, prior legislators being convicted, and now the longest serving Speaker of the House, just highlights we must get to work. Now, Representative Spain mentioned in his comments that about the House rules. One of those things that the House rules allows is for the speaker to have a large amount of authority, in fact, almost unchecked authority as it relates to legislation. That's one area that where there could be a legislative change that would take away some of the influence of the speaker in being able to completely manage the House and with an iron fist. And we have shown other areas where we can change our ethics laws to push out bad actors, to make sure the legislative inspector general has the ability to investigate and file complaints when necessary. So there are a lot of things we can do, but it's important that we get to work doing them most of all.
Yeah, and I would just add, Patrick, one thing that is clear to me now at the conclusion of this Mike Madigan saga is that we need to reform the process of having a special investigating committee and an internal affairs watchdog for the Illinois House. I mean, think about this. Two of the members selected by Democrats to participate on that committee to investigate the corrupt dealings of Mike Madigan, one was rewarded with becoming the new Speaker of the House, Chris Welch, and another was rewarded with becoming the chairperson of the Democratic Party of the state of Illinois, Lisa Hernandez. That's a problem. We have to have tough internal mechanisms so that we can root out bad behavior in state government. And we tried to do that as Republicans, and instead the tool that was available to us was used as a reward for political loyalty to the very people that were charged with investigating Mike Madigan.
We're going to take two more questions real quick. Ben Zielinski from Capital News, Illinois. What specific ethics reforms would address the things Speaker Madigan was found guilty of?
I think we've covered those. We have a list of probably 20-something ethics initiatives that we've suggested. Some are related to Speaker Madigan, others are not, but they're all about improving ethical behavior and the standards of conduct for people that serve in government. So specifically, some of the bills to empower the legislative inspector general to allow for more membership-driven ability to call bills and move legislation. Remember, the issue at the heart of the ComEd scandal here and these convictions had to do with the unchecked ability of Mike Madigan to decide whether or not a bill would be considered for a vote by the House of Representatives. And so much of what we recommend is that there should be a mechanism to allow legislation to move forward that is not in the absolute control of one singular person as the Speaker of the House.
Yeah, you could just even this rules just now, a couple of weeks ago, Patrick was talking just to ask for one bill, one little bill to have a member on the Republican side to have one bill, not passed, but even just presented in a committee. And nope, couldn't even have that.
Last question is from Dave Dahl. Corruption has been bipartisan, but does this case of Speaker Madigan's end it once and for all?
No, and it's absolutely, you're right. It is bipartisan and it needs to be handled. It needs to be addressed, and we're ready to do that. We've been ready. We've been asking. This is not a new thing, and when we don't meet, when we don't acknowledge it, I don't even think the verdict was acknowledged by Speaker Welch. You have to acknowledge it to go ahead and fix it. So this is where we're at today. Certainly, there has been past Republicans, and we acknowledge that, and we condemn that. So let's go forward and let's fix it. It's within our power to do that.
All right, thank you, leaders. That concludes today's press conference. If anyone has any additional questions, please feel welcome to call or email me this afternoon, and I'll be happy to get back with you. So thanks again, everyone, for your time. And thank you, leaders, McCombie, Spain, and Windhorst.
Thank you.